We got NetSuite versus Acumatica. And I'm just thinking we're going to just introduce these two and let them battle it out.
Welcome to ERP on Tap, your steady flow of everything you want to know about NetSuite and Acumatica. The podcast where we dive into practical tips, expert insights, and real-world examples, exploring the tools, tips, and tricks you need to make your business processes flow like never before.
Greetings, everyone. Jonathan McKee here from ERP on Tap. And man, I'm excited about this week because we have NetSuite versus Acumatica. Now, as you guys know, at this podcast, we really have no bias. I honestly work with both systems daily. Both are great. Both have some great pros. And let's be honest, maybe each of them has a few cons. So we thought, let's put them head to head. And let's actually take some people who are out there working with these systems daily, implementing them, because who better to compare which might be a better fit for you. So let's dive right in and introduce our guests. As we do, if you find value in what you hear today, help us help you. Take a second to click that like and subscribe button so you can be the first person to get new content as it's released. And of course, if there's something you like about the podcast today, jump in and comment. Tell us, Jonathan, nice hat. Or where do I get one of those cool Portello sweatshirts or something like that? Anything. Or no, you know what's really good about NetSuite? Let us know. We want to hear from you. We have two guests this week, both industry experts who are on the front lines implementing ERP systems daily. On the NetSuite side, we have my friend, Brianne Fausto. She's a Portello senior business consultant who has over 15 years manufacturing operations, wholesale distribution, and systems experience. She started at a chemical manufacturing company and eventually moved to a worldwide distribution company. At Portello, she's completed dozens of implementations, several rescue projects. We do those as well. And she's one of my go-to NetSuite resources. On the Acumatica side, podcast listeners need no introduction. Our Acumatica MVP and often co-host of this podcast, Ikra Harrison, who, when not hosting this podcast, is on the front lines implementing Acumatica and helping take care of our Acumatica customers daily. So here they are. Let's bring them on, Brianne and Ikra. Hey, welcome to ERP on Tap.
Yeah, thanks, Jonathan.
Yeah. Good to have you both. This is exciting. I know our listeners are looking forward to this. I love this because I got two of my friends here on the podcast. I know how amazing you both are in the ERP world. And it's so funny because literally you guys don't even cross paths much. I mean, one's kind of in the Acumatica space, one's in the NetSuite space. We pretty much see each other at fun events and that kind of stuff. But here we are. We're going to talk shop. So this is going to be kind of raw because we've never really actually talked shop about this. So the three of us, let's do it. We're going to dive right in. Ikra, we're going to go alphabetical, and Acumatica starts with an A. So why don't you share something about Acumatica that you really like that you think is a benefit of going with Acumatica?
Well, Brianne starts with a B, so I mean.
So it depends. Do we go
right
person
after
or the system?
Yeah.
It's okay.
No.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, so one of the things that I think Acumatica does really well, or just this kind of goes into the sales side, not as much on the actual implementation side, but they offer unlimited users. I know that's a huge difference between what NetSuite does. Big win, for Acumatica. Just if you have a lot of users, you don't have to deal with the additional costs associated with it. So I really like that ability. But I mean, I know NetSuite's a little different, and I'm sure there's the perks on that side too.
It is. NetSuite is user-based, so hopefully that comes out change so we can compete in that, on that level. So
and it's funny. I see it on both sides there because if someone ends up having 6 users, sometimes NetSuite actually works pretty well because Acumatica, if you have the smaller under 10, they count for the first 5 and the next 5. So if you have 6, NetSuite actually is pretty good and pretty competitive, but if you have 20 and you're adding people, we have a lot of people who have seasonal workers, that kind of stuff, and they're adding and subtracting, and that it really is nice to have that consumption model that Acumatica has. It's a plus point for sure. It's a 1 point Acumatica. We won't keep score, but it's a good
I'm
one.
I'm keeping score.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm just
I
kidding,
know Ikra
Brian.
is. Brienne, have you learned that
I'm
about
not
Ikra? She
competitive.
keeps she keeps score. So anyway, Brienne, tell us something about NetSuite that you think is a really good advantage.
Comes to mind workflows, right? So
Okay.
workflows is your point and click tool to, you wouldn't need a developer to write code to provide some some automation in NetSuite. You could do it by simply right clicking, dragging, adding actions to a workflow, right? Most primarily used for like approval routings. A lot of times,
Hmm.
you in other systems, it's maybe not provided out of the box, or you'll have to do some custom development. However, in NetSuite, it's a workflow, and you can get that done in hours.
Yeah, I mean, it's the term workflow is like in my mind like so technical. I know it shouldn't be, but every time I think workflow, and then like I have a client that is switching, from NetSuite to Acumatica, so I've gotten a lot of exposure of like what's happening, and they had super complex workflows, which in NetSuite, so there was some like custom codes and scripts and things like that, and just moving into Acumatica. I feel like Acumatica's approval workflow is super easy. I wouldn't say it's like, there's the modification to make the screen changes, but approval workflows, I feel like worked really well. And a lot of the things that could be custom scripted in NetSuite were kind of out of the box with the Acumatica approval workflows. And I thought that was really cool. And I was like surprised to see how that client was like, the work that was associated with it, and I was like, yeah, I was like, okay, click, click, boom, and here's your approval workflow. So that was pretty cool. But I do know like the complexity around it of like what they were trying to do, and I could see where even in Acumatica that would be hard. Um,
Mhm.
but I got most of them, I think. So
No, no. Yeah, it's interesting. Whenever I see people coming from other systems, there's a lot of systems out there where every change they want to make, they got to call an IT they need somebody to come in and code. And both, because I've seen you both do demos in Acumatica and in NetSuite, both of them are very configurable. And not only that, we just talked about updates with both systems
Mhm.
actually. Both those configurations you make once you set stuff up and add fields and do all these different things, it's so nice to see that stuff actually updates and it doesn't break. And that happens in a lot of other systems as well. So I think it's a plus for both systems for sure, for my
Yeah,
Question.
humble opinion.
Well, I guess one point of clarity. So, what is the tool called in Acumatica that?
approval and assignment maps.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
well then,
That's why I was
good
like
to know.
workflows. And when I think workflows, I think customizations because that's where those come into play. You're changing the behavior of whatever the system does natively. And so that's why I'm like, is that technical? Like, that doesn't sound like the user interface. But when I got drilled into it, I was like, oh, okay, this makes sense. It's just sometimes
Mhm.
the terminology difference.
Yeah, semantics. Interesting. Interesting. All right, cool. No, good stuff. Ikra, you're up.
Yeah, I just heard, you kind of just touched on it a little bit, but like easy to customize. That was actually going to be one of the debate points. Is that what you know what I mean? Like
Sure.
easy to customize and integrate with. So, with different, the integration doesn't exist, it's super easy to build. With Acumatica's open API platform, creating endpoints and. Uh, Again, super technical, but I've gotten exposure to a lot of those things. But they have the ability to import data, export data, and then add that into like customization logic and things like that. So I feel like it goes really well. And if I can kind of put the pieces together, I feel like, a normal, like non-technical user would be too, because I will say that it really is a different language over there.
Yeah, yeah.
But
How's
what,
net,
like, with,
how's NetSuite with that, Bree?
So, as far as integrations, very highly customizable, right? They have their open APIs, application programming interfaces, where clients have come to us, hey, Brianne, I've been told this partner product doesn't have an integration to NetSuite out of
Mhm.
the box or a connector built. Can you help us? And what do? We find API documentation online, right? So that information is available to the public. And then we start piecing together, okay, yep, it looks like there is some flexibility there, some options, and we can custom integrate something from that partner product over to NetSuite. Now it's just next step, get on a call with a developer. And that's what we do day in and day out.
That's
Nice.
true.
Can like end users do that level of development pieces? Because I know in Acumatica, some of the clients that I've worked with have developed their own custom software. I've kind of helped bridge the gap between what would happen with Acumatica, but they've built their own custom integration that they want to bring in. And I was very surprised. I was like, oh, this is really cool. Like, you know what I mean? But obviously, like, I think if the client has the technical capabilities, I'm sure they could. But how does that work in NetSuite?
It would require, right, some development experience there,
Hmm.
if it doesn't exist already. Now, there are some tools, right? There's some integration platforms such as Ciligo, Boomi, right?
Hmm.
NetSuite connector as well, that they provide that plug and play where a functional, right, not so technical user can kind of click and drag the mappings and enable the integration.
Yeah. You say it sounds like a lot of the ISVs, that's what Acumatica calls them, where the third-party integrations where overlap with the both softwares, because Ciligo is definitely one of those that I've heard in the Acumatica ecosystem.
Mhm.
So it's
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. No, that's good. That's good. It's just a question of how deep nerd you need to go. So
Correct.
that's true.
Not
That's
trying to
true.
nerd out this
Uh,
time.
so Bree, you're up.
Mhm.
Something that you think's a good benefit for NetSuite.
A favorite of mine is probably the Save Searches tool, right? Just because any user, without even using a reports query or some fancy reporting tool, can right out of the gate come into NetSuite. As long as the data is there, the data point exists, they can create
Hmm.
a search and start collecting data from different tables. Now, of course, there's some limitations, and then NetSuite has a hierarchy above that, right? Suite Analytics, workbooks. However, for your everyday user, Save Searches is a tool that we train a lot of our clients to use and really try get under their belt so they can themselves, right, empower and get the data they need without having to call a development team or technical IT to create that report for them.
Good, good.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that takes me to one of my points too, because I was going to say generic inquiries, which is just like kind of like I would say, NetSuite's equivalent to Save Searches. Um, I like the generic inquiries, but I will say it does have you do have to be a little bit more like technical on that because it does involve like, being putting those table joins together. And if you're not familiar with how that works, there's limitations with how much you can just filter on the actual inquiry that already exists. So if that data is not already there,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Like do have to go to that generic inquiry, like the back end of it, right? Like not the actual results that come out. So I will say I've tried to use the safe searches in NetSuite because we do use NetSuite in house, and that is not that easy. So I will be booking some time with you, Brienne. We're gonna have to
Good.
figure that out.
Yeah, yeah.
Again, we teach our clients that, so any time of the day.
Oh, I'm
There you
excited. Add
go.
me to
Yeah,
that training.
we will. We'll have to get her on that call. All right, Ikra, that means you're up. Something else that, or although you kind of just shared
I
yours, didn't you?
did.
So let's go back
Yeah.
to Brandon. Brandon, say
Okay.
another advantage of NetSuite that you think.
Sure, because the list goes long. Another
Oh,
one,
I
probably
love it.
Shots
Ooh.
fired.
dashboards. I would say I know that just because that's been right in implementations as well as helping new users get used to and get acclimated to
Hmm.
their new system is getting everything up front and center for them. And NetSuite provides a lot of those tools already, right? Clicking and dragging these different dashboard portlets, whether it's reports, reminders, meters, KPIs, searches, for non-technical users who don't even want to log into the ERP, the ability to just get in, see it from the first page that loads, and then
Hmm.
get out, right? So we've been able to do that for a lot of our users where it's actually gained some interest and they've started clicking through the ERP system. So I would say dashboards as one of the nicer tools that NetSuite provides.
I would have to say point for NetSuite on that one.
Hmm.
Obviously, Acumatica does have their own dashboards, but I've seen some of the, I think, what is it, the 360 view that you guys
Hmm.
have on NetSuite, and just some of the information that's on the out of the box dashboards that exist without even having to do customizations. I would say I like the look of it, but in Acumatica with what we have, but I just feel like it's just a little bit more user friendly and seems like a dashboard. And I know
Hmm.
you can definitely modify it to make it look that way, but it's nice that it comes out of the box with NetSuite.
Yeah, yeah. I was going to ask about that, and Bree, tell me about that. With you know old systems, very often all that stuff have to be built out. Ever since NetSuite introduced Suite Success, they anybody who's ever talking about NetSuite will say out of the box. NetSuite,
Hmm.
right on day one, are the
Okay.
words they'll always use. You've got this, this, and this. How as someone who implements people all the time stuff, is it nice to have is there a lot of those dashboards kind of ready made and you're just kind of setting up? Or does it take a lot of configuring? How nice is that compared to the systems of yesteryear?
There are. So NetSuite does provide some already pre-configured dashboards that you can pick and choose the portlets, right? They provide, how do they say that, cookie cutter template that you can take and modify, make it
Hmm.
fit the client who purchased this instance. So there are
That's
several
cool.
of those that you could reuse. Mhm.
Good stuff. Well, Ikra, you're up.
Yeah.
We
All
wait
right, this one might
eagerly.
be controversial. Okay, this one
All
might
right.
be controversial,
Ooh,
but
good.
I
Oh.
will say the user interface of Acumatica is definitely top tier. I would, I've seen
All right.
NetSuite. It's just lack of a better word, it's slightly boring. Like it is very traditional, right? It's like the grays. I like that I mean, I'm sure I'm again not a NetSuite user, but you may have the ability to modify the visual appearance of it. But in Acumatica, it makes it super easy. Obviously, I know the logos and things like that are in NetSuite as well, but just like clicking the workspaces, I feel like it just makes it super easy for the users to like go from one screen to another. And like I said, I've used NetSuite, and I feel like I'm gonna fall asleep using it because it's not keeping me awake.
Oh,
I
wow. Shots fired
had to
across the
fire
bow.
them back. I had to fire them back.
I would
That's
agree
funny.
with you because I would totally agree with you. Just the interface with NetSuite. So the first time I saw Acumatica, right,
Mhm.
logged in and I was impressed because I was like, oh, NetSuite
It's
doesn't even
pretty.
have this. Yes.
It makes you feel like it's fun to do work.
Yes.
It's like
Yes.
reverse
They,
psychology, honestly. Like
yes.
I do
Hmm.
understand the need for the traditional view. Like, there are this, especially from an accounting standpoint, like, it feels like it's very much like, okay, I'm doing my accounting work. But this is so much bigger than just accounting. You know what I mean? You have operations, you have obviously sales, and you can have all these different teams that think through differently. And it's like I just feel like with the user interface with Acumatica, it's user friendly and to everybody.
Well, let me
Hmm.
ask you each a question there. Start with Ikra, since you brought it up. There's a new UI that some people have just upgraded to or haven't even upgraded to. And
Hmm.
that's where I'm going. Brianna, I'm going to ask you the same question, Redwood, right? But the new UI, are you talking about the new UI or the old one? And is the new UI even
All of
better?
the above. Well,
Okay.
all of the above. I will say I started my Acumatica journey back in 2019, and even from what 2019 was to what it is now, even not in the modern UI, there's definitely aesthetically pleasing changes that have been made. And I think even with the modern UI, it just looks more like futuristic. It looks more like technology, like you're, entering this new era. Instead of like the square edges, it's like rounded and soft. I think it's all honestly, I think they're doing psychology with a little bit of this user interface here. But I like it, and I've definitely played around with my the modern UI too now, so I'm liking it. It's definitely still an adjustment, but I would definitely take it over
All right.
NetSuite.
Brianne, is Redwood making this better?
Call me old school, I would say no. I feel like NetSuite took it back probably 10 years ago. It looks
Hmm.
like the original NetSuite.
Oh, interesting.
Like, there's differing opinions, but I'm not a fan of Redwood, just because it looks very much like when they released NetSuite, NetLedger. Um,
Interesting.
What is
Okay.
um,
Redwood?
it's a different,
The new UI.
graphical, it
Oh,
changes. Some it rounds some things out, right?
Rounds. Yeah.
It
I'm
does do
telling
that.
you. See,
However, I'm more old school, traditional, and I stick to the way NetSuite, has been doing it the last, 10 so
forever,
years already. Yeah,
That's it.
forever.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's
and
it.
I think I've kind
Well,
of got used to it.
It's like
I'm
the
keeping an eye on.
NetSuite's the OG, keeping everything the same way, and then
That's right.
Acumatica is the new big baller on the court type thing.
Retro's good, right? I mean, Ikra, you could rock some spiked up 80s bangs,
I'll
maybe
bring
something
space
good.
buns next time. Come on.
We could do that. We could do that. All right, watching the clock. I know Brianne said the list is long, but maybe we have time for another one or two. Brianne, you're up. Brianne, go ahead. Give me something about NetSuite that you think is a really good advantage.
Sure, custom records, right?
Okay.
And don't be afraid of the term custom. So, how
Girl,
ERP
looking.
has come out with their own your tra- standard transactions, sales order, work order, customer, right? Vendor item. Now, in a business, there might be a record that they track information, right? And doesn't fit in that standard mold. NetSuite gives, right, their user base the ability to create their own record, call it
Mhm.
what they want to call it, and utilize it in the entire database, right? So one of the use cases is few clients came and said, "Hey, Brianne, we have this." Before an item is created, it needs to be routed to all these different departments, right? And I don't want to create the item right away and have it be used on a purchase order or in production or sold. I want to have some controls over it. Now, what can I do, or what can I put in place form wise to get that information out there? And we used a custom record, right? So it mimicked the item record, all the fields in there. It routes to the different departments. And once each department has populated their information, right, using a workflow, it brought it to the next department, gathered the information. Once that kind of new item was approved, NetSuite then converted it and created the new item. So
That's cool. Ikra,
mhm.
anything like that in Acumatica?
No.
Oh, she's stumped.
I know. I'm trying to find
When
it. I
Ikra
mean,
is silent, it means something.
yeah. I'm
That's,
sure there isn't there like again, I don't know everything about Acumatica. I feel like I know a lot, but um nothing's coming to mind on that
well,
one.
hey, I'll tell you what. Let's. It's okay. Let's wave the flag here for a second.
Okay.
Listeners, this is an opportunity for you, not the surrender flag, but the help flag. And listeners, we want to hear from you. This is a great time. Jump in the comment section. Is there something like that in Acumatica? Tell us so far of what they've shared.
Yeah.
What do you like? What do you think they should have shared? We're approaching the finish line here. Please chime in. We want to hear your comments. Ikra, you're up.
Okay.
I know you've probably got a good one left, and we
Best
are
for
probably getting towards
last.
the finish line. So go for it.
Yes.
What?
Okay, so I will have to drop this one on you, Brianne. Sorry, but the construction module as a whole in
Oh yeah,
Acumatica,
yeah.
like
Drop the
construction,
mic.
yeah,
Yeah.
like honestly, it's it's definitely
You dropped it.
I love it. And construction has been my background for like I've always been in budgets. I've always been in some sort of construction role. And it just keeps getting better. That's what I like about it. I mean, we just talked about a
Yeah.
little bit of some of the changes that they made in the construction edition or just the modules in on our podcast just, recently. I was episode 8.
I'm not
It
on
doesn't,
which
it doesn't even matter. We
I
just
lose
talked about
track. Go back. You'll
I know,
find it. That's
exactly,
right.
exactly. But they're always enhancing it, and I think it's a really it gives construction companies exactly what they need.
Hmm.
From tracking project financials and change orders, and obviously there's even some project management capabilities in there.
Hmm.
I love it. Am a big supporter, and
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say I think I won this one. No.
But
I'll
I
roll out
mean,
the red carpet for you. You're right.
Huh.
Yes, you are right, because I have, coming from a family of, right, uncles and dads who've worked in the construction industry, and I've had some previous experience in a logistical company as well where they were doing construction type work and taking, right, and then talking with prospects, understanding their requirements, and then taking it to NetSuite and being stumped a little, right? It is a little disheartening. So yes, Acumatica does have a construction module that NetSuite does not have
Yeah,
yet.
yeah, yeah. Even though NetSuite's strong on financials and projects and all that, when it comes to construction specific, and people start talking about AI billing and different things that are very unique to, change orders out in the field and pull a mobile device up and do it. I mean, that's the stuff that Acumatica has built out. And with NetSuite currently, it's NetSuite plus something else.
Yeah.
I was gonna
So
say, if I can add that, right? Well, there are clients in there that do use are in the construction business and use NetSuite, where it's that plus something else, and with the ability to send that back to NetSuite. So, with the projects tool, we've made it work somehow. However, it is different from out of the box. You have all those features available to the client. So
exactly. And luckily, both systems I can just kind of vouch for play very well with others. So even though in the construction industry, maybe Acumatica has out of 20 needs, 18 of them core and only 2 add-ons because the customer really wanted some peripheral things to start. I want to keep my ADP payroll. So okay, great. Acumatica can link with that. So can NetSuite. With NetSuite and construction, it might be if they need 20 things, 15 of them are core and 5 of them are add-ons there when it comes to construction. So you guys, this is a great list. You guys, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I know this could go on. Maybe some of our listeners would like it to go on. So listeners, let me ask you, what about you? Jump into comments. Tell us what you think. Are you, what do you favor? I mean, as you hear this and listen, is there one that kind of stood out a little more to you? If you find this helpful, please take a moment and hit that like and subscribe button. That helps us. And jump into comments and talk to us. That helps the algorithm. And we love to hear from you. And guess what? We comment back. So please join in. Let me just quickly pause and say thank you both for being on ERP on Tap. We bring you all things NetSuite and Acumatica.